Welcome back, everybody. We are here with another English edition of Messi and Co. If you missed any of our Leagues Cup final coverage, please go back, check the podcast feed, check the YouTube channel. We were live from Tank Brewery down in Doral, had Vice City behind all of the hosts there. You guys did such an amazing job. I was over in Nashville doing what I could and enjoying the match, but you guys absolutely killed the coverage. And if you guys missed any of it, like I said, go ahead and check it out. But we're also going to do a little bit of championship talk today because Miami finally have their first title in club history, and we were all witnessing it. What a moment for the club and this time in history in sports in South Florida or even America in general has just been insane, to say the least. Lionel Messi carrying the weight of American soccer on his back, even though he doesn't even care. It's been such a crazy time to be an Inter Miami journalist, reporter, analyst, fan, player, coach, whoever it is that's been with the team the last 4 years. Can definitely tell you what this has been like, but we'll get into that more and talk about the actual championship game itself, or the final, I should say, and more after a quick word from one of our sponsors.
If you are ready to transform your backyard into a haven of relaxation and luxury, look no further than our amazing podcast sponsor, L'Acqua Azzurra Pool Services. With over 20 years of industry experience, L'Acqua Azzurra is a name you can trust when it comes to services, equipment repairs, and restoration for all things pools. If you're looking in the South Florida area for your pool to be serviced on a month-to-month basis, L'Acqua Azzurra boasts an impressive 5-star rating on Google reviews, and it's a testament to their dedication to the customer satisfaction and top-notch service. Also, if you mention Messi and Co, you will get your first month of pool service absolutely free. So don't wait. For pool service, patio renovation, or more, call them now at 954-793-7206 and get a free quote for any project. Thanks, L'Acqua Azzurra.
All right, so welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to have an English episode now as you're listening to, and a Spanish episode a little bit later on, so stay on the lookout. If it hasn't been published already, it will be coming, and it'll be all in the lead up to the U.S. Open Cup semifinal, which is taking place 2 days from now as we're recording on Wednesday night. So back-to-back competitions, later stages of them, and then MLS on the weekend. The Messi coverage and the Inter Miami coverage does not stop. But let's talk about that coverage a little bit, Ashley. I mean, what Messi has done for MLS and even for the Mexican sides and everything that's gone on here in North America in the sport of soccer itself has been nothing like we've ever seen. Kind of give us an understanding, if you could, about what happened with Messi winning the title this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, congratulations to all Inter Miami fans. It's been a difficult 4 years, and I'm really just proud to be a part of this team in the community. We saw firsthand at the Tank, and you saw firsthand with all the other Inter Miami supporters who made the trip to Nashville, just how excited, deserving, happy this community is to get the win. So it was awesome. I'm still washing beer off of me and all the things when Drake made that final save. It was craziness, but yeah. So thank you to everyone who's watched so far. In terms of his impact, we only have a very small sample size. It's only been it's hard to think about it, but it's been a month since he made his debut, and it's been craziness since. But I'll say, just to give a couple fun statistics that I found, the MLS has gained 26 million followers since last season. Since June, they've gained, it was 24 million came in June once Messi was announced. So 2 million before, 24 million since. Engagement compared to last year. Okay, so MLS fans engaging on social media is up 263%. So why is that important? Because, there's been issues with lots of leagues in the past, whether it's La Liga, sometimes the Premier League with Sky Sports, especially if you don't, without NBC, League One, that they don't show the highlights, right? They don't share. You have to be someone who can only see it live or watch it, on the website, or if maybe the player posted on social media. That's the only way you get to see some highlights. MLS and Apple TV have been phenomenal in the fact that they are putting high definition, multi-view angles of all the highlights. And of course, most of them are from Lionel Messi, but millions. I remember I said to Alejandro that the goal that he scored, that Messi scored in the 20-something minute, within the first 18 minutes of it being posted on MLS's Twitter account, it had over 1 million views within 18 minutes, which just shows, I mean, it's just, amazing what they've done. And, the Apple MLS season pass subscribers has doubled. The resale prices, which obviously is a point of contention to some, understandably, it's jumped up over 1,700%. Like, this is like, Taylor Swift tour numbers we're getting to. And the Messi Miami jersey is Fanatic's top selling jersey across all sports. And I think that's actually really indicative because, America is still, NFL is king. And then NBA, you have, the LeBrons, the Steph Currys, et cetera, that, the Giannis that get those jersey sales. The fact that within 6 weeks, he's already surpassed all of them. It's pretty substantial. So yeah, I'd say so far the experiment obviously is working to the best because it helps when he makes it all the way to a final. But just in general, the excitement, everyone's interest in soccer. You're seeing all the major sports outlet in America who don't normally maybe talk about soccer that much unless it's World Cup, unless it's, something like that. They're talking about it. They're interested in it. They're excited to see, what's going to happen next. Greatness is appreciated by everyone, which is something that, it's a unique value that Messi brings and that select few have brought, that LeBron has brought, et cetera, that, people want to see greatness, and that transcends anyone's understanding of sport. It transcends languages. It transcends locations. It doesn't matter. Greatness is it's something appreciated by everybody.
Did you say Giannis, by the way? When you
I know, yeah, it's true.
So listen,
he's still a top 5.
No, he is. But I wanted to mention Giannis was at the game on Saturday. He's part owner of Nashville, and I don't know if you guys saw, but he was on the field pregame. And not only was he on the field pregame, he was taking free kicks with his brother Thanasis, shooting it into the goal in front of the Nashville supporters. And then finished off one of the goals with the Ronaldo Sue celebration, and the whole stadium was chanting it. So Nashville did not hold back at all. Neither did the owners. You saw Reese Witherspoon there as well.
Which is good, I think.
Of course, absolutely.
Competition brings the best out of everyone. You don't want him to make it seem like he cakewalks everywhere.
Yeah, of course not. And he didn't cakewalk. And that is for sure. And we'll get into the game a little bit later on. But I wanted to bring up too, Ashley, if you could kind of explain the importance of the Apple TV deal with MLS, because you mentioned with Sky Sports and the Premier League and with other leagues in Europe specifically, where if you're not at the game and you're in the surrounding area, you can barely watch the game. Can you talk about a little bit, and refer to Apple TV and why it's so important for MLS to have partnered with them at this time because of the global reach now that MLS gets that it wouldn't have gotten before if it was just under a Fox deal or an ESPN deal. This is available. This product that Messi is now providing and MLS now gets to provide with Messi on the field is now available to over 100 countries. Why is that so important?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really said it, that it's the fact that accessibility, it's like if you add Messi, you ever see the meme, the video where it's a guy, like he has a pot of oil and he slowly wants to throw the French fries in and he closes the lid and he jumps back and it's like, he thinks it's going to explode. Yeah. That's kind of what is the MLS and Apple are kind of doing now, is that they're throwing Messi in the pot. They're throwing, all these opportunities for people to watch around the world. And they're just like, they want it to explode. They want it to reach this point. I would say the fact that it's over 100 countries, 100% English and Spanish. I couldn't tell you if they have languages in other or broadcast in other languages quite yet. I know they have subtitles of every country, I'm sure. But with the Premier League, I saw an incredibly interesting statistic. And I may be slightly butchering it, but just to give maybe explain it in relative terms, Manchester City grosses about $600 million a year. Okay. A club like PSG or Real Madrid, or even like the Dallas Cowboys, for example, billions every year. The reason the Premier League teams, even the best, and I would think you consider Manchester City the best in the world, or at least always a top 3 in that conversation. It doesn't make me happy, but I'm just saying, they still have all of these shortcomings financially compared to other huge clubs in different sports because of the blocking of the Premier League content. You see it with the Sky Sports, like we said. I mean, we have friends in England that they can't watch any games. They get to watch the Friday game, and they get to watch the Friday night game, sometimes the Saturday night game, and the Monday night game. Those are the games that they're allowed, they can watch on TV. Every other game, like every time in the United States, the 10 a.m. slot, right, for the Premier League, that is where majority of the teams play. You can't watch it in England. You have to be at the game, or else you can't watch it. And so it's extraordinary that they still, I think, they have such a rabid fan base and such passion, when really you can't. And I mean, that's part of pub culture. You go to places to watch it, and that's how you get away with it. But yeah, the possibilities unlocked by Apple TV, the fact that they had it for 50% off for a while for a season pass, it's like what, $115, $20, something like that. And the value you're getting, though, is that you're getting unlimited content. You're getting all of the games. The idea is that, some people who are Messi haters maybe are going to start rooting for other teams. They're going to see Inter Miami play a certain team and be like, oh, wow, that player was really, really cool. Like, I want to follow and see what Lewis Morgan is going to continue doing in his career, or, et cetera. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I something too that I love, and I watched last night actually, was MLS 360. And when you talk about content, it's not just the games itself. Like, Apple is doing a ton of stuff to release to fans of all specific markets. And one thing that a neutral can do, for example, who is interested in just the league itself, or somebody trying to watch Messi and get an idea of what's going on around him, is MLS 360, where when it's like NFL Red Zone, but for MLS. And actually, speaking of that, Phil Neville was on last night. He was one of the in studio analysts for all the matches going on, and there were a couple of Inter Miami tidbits here and there, but just they do some really cool things like that I think that it's more. I don't really know the word for it, but it's not like it's a fully targeted audience from MLS. They understand that they need to reach other people, and they're doing it in ways that bring really good content. And I think that it's important for what they're trying to accomplish down the stretch. And it's obviously been accelerated, I should say, with Messi in the league. But nonetheless, they've tried to really get a grasp on the marketing side of everything, and you saw, or you heard Ashley with the numbers. It's been insane to witness.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'll say this really quickly, it's just what makes MLS unique, and what has probably been something that has been considered a negative by a lot, is that it's a different structure from all the other leagues in the world, right? Where you don't have the promotion relegation, but what you do have is, I think you have a lot more parity. You start to see a lot more people being able to invest in the teams. It's a league that, leads everything for the players. It's not, in Premier League and things like that, you rarely hear things happening through the league, unless it's, referee decisions, stuff like that. Every team is its own entity, its own financial rules, etc. And so it causes, I think, sometimes disjointment, right? And it doesn't have it be as maybe fluent, and where everyone, it's like a rising tide raises all ships. But you've seen it with NFL and NBA, that MLS is following the formula, especially now with Apple TV and with Messi and things like that. They're following the formula of, not every single team can be the big market team that pays for all the big players, but a few can. And they're going to get those big players. They're going to try and get money for the rest of the league to prosper. And they're going to offer unlimited content, so that all you care about is watching Inter Miami and Messi. I mean, how many people do you think have bought a Robert Taylor jersey? Let's just say people who are, maybe Ecuadorians have now bought an Arroyo jersey or a Campana jersey. I mean, these players are reaching completely new heights, and that's how you get NBA stars. That's how you get NFL stars. People want to see unlimited content, and they want to feel like they have a front row pass to it. And so with MLS, you have the chance to develop these teams, develop those relationships, and develop the personalities that are going to continue to grow the fan base. So it's so far so good.
And that also goes for on the field stuff as well. I think in the near future with Inter Miami, especially with the U22 signings, I've heard conversations and had conversations with myself and others about how, this could really, Miami could be that segue team for South Americans, for Mexicans to come to MLS and use it as, a jump start to move over to Europe and play, top flight club football. And I think that just has to do with growth and the prosperity the league can see from all different fronts. And I think with the audience and the attention that it's getting, rightfully so, some of these players may not have gotten it beforehand. They might not have gotten all the eyes on them beforehand. But let me tell you, a player like, I don't know, Benjamin Kremeshki, who, yes, was highly touted coming out of the academy and people knew about him as a dual national with Argentina and America, he has been highlighted to the absolute maximum he ever could have because he's playing alongside Lionel Messi. So that is just the first of many examples to come, because the guys like Facundo Farias, the guys like Thomas Aviles, Diego Gomez, David Ruiz, Noah Allen playing under Jordi Alba, like, there are going to be so many guys coming through the pipeline that now have more reach and more visibility than they've ever had before. And it goes the same for, like I said, on the field as well as off the field. It's Ashley just alluded to. So all positives here. I mean, that's the only thing I think anybody can think of right now within MLS, other than a team that's kind of just hating on the fact that Miami are the ones that got them. But nothing illegal has gone on. They've stayed under the salary cap and the rules, and the owners were willing to put the money where their mouths were and deliver on promises that they made back in 2019 and even before. And that's just kind of the reality of the situation. So they've
And
done
it's been
well.
a tough 4 years. It's not like this,
Yeah.
it's not like we were the Golden State Warriors and added Kevin Durant. Like, you know what I mean? This team, look at Cleveland 2003. I mean, they are so lucky that LeBron James is from Ohio. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get lucked into things, and it's, what you do as an organization, as a fan base, and as a league, how you react to that is going to dictate, how prosperous and how, advantageous it's going to be for everyone around you. I keep going back to the NBA, which is, it's obviously there's a lot of differences, but I'm just saying that with LeBron, Cleveland, Giannis, Milwaukee, when you have these small market teams and they get these superstars, they get gifted with these opportunities, how you handle it. And even if you haven't had a winning past, but how you handle it and, how you embrace it can lead to the next 10, 15, 20 years of prosperity, both on and off the field.
Right. And if anything, the Messi to Miami deal should really actually give hope to all those small market teams in MLS, which I think is what you're saying, is that there's a possibility of bringing big name players here. And if the owners want to pay up and do it, it's obviously going to lead to generational success within the league. It's already started with Messi, and I believe that there are other clubs in MLS. Most other clubs in MLS can do the same thing if the owners just want to go ahead and do that. And I think, down the line, we'll have more, episodes to come, but there will be, conversations about rule changes and when it comes to the roster and the DP slots and the salary cap budget, how free agency will work in MLS, the transfer windows in MLS. So there's a lot of different conversations to be had when it comes to that. And this is just really the starting point. And honestly, every number that Ashley has talked about and read out and all the points that she's brought up are the exact reasons for that, because they need to continue to grow and to capitalize on the benefits that they're reaping because of Lionel Messi coming to Miami and getting his first title in literally less than 1 month's time is just a cherry on top of all of it. So let's get in a little bit to that final. 1-1 to Nashville, away from home, down to penalties, gets to penalty number 11 for both teams. And Drake Callender not only scores his
ice in his veins,
but yeah, he makes the save. And it was probably one of the most dramatic moments in sports that I've witnessed in person. I don't know if there have been any other. I mean, I've had some dramatic moments in person, but that one really just, because of everything that we've gone through in the last 4 years and, the different emotions that I've felt through other fans and just being around them in that time was just so, it's hard to put into words, but it was a captivating experience and I will never forget it. It is something I will never forget. I do want to talk about what happened in the game though, because everyone's talking about the final. We've already covered it. We've done our celebrations. Everybody has enjoyed it, but this team is still fighting on. There are still 2 other competitions that Miami are playing in. And as I've mentioned, U.S. Open Cup semifinal against Cincinnati, away from home to the top team in the Eastern Conference, who actually just got destroyed by Columbus 3-0 last night. Or 2 nights. It was last night. It was last night.
Yeah.
but there are still important things going on. They have to climb out of 15th place in the East. They have to win 2 games to win another trophy at the very least. What I saw from this team, and you guys can ask me anything you want, what I saw from this team on that night was everything short of promising. I was not excited about what I saw, and I thought that Nashville played the game to absolute perfection, and I think Miami actually played into Nashville's hands. I hated the substitutions late on from Tata Martino. I really struggled to find other than what Messi did in the first half. Other than what Messi did in the first half, I was not a fan of Inter Miami's play. Didn't get many shots on target at all. Just like Philadelphia, 4 shots on target, 4 goals. Miami, I think, had 2 shots on target in the first half. It was Robert Taylor from way out, and then the Messi goal, of course. So, I think that there have to be changes. And if other teams around the league, especially in one-off competitions where you can push it to penalties, decide to emulate what Nashville did, Miami will struggle to find success. They did not have a good time trying to break down Nashville at all. I think Gary Smith put out exactly what he needed to do. It's something that Jim Curtin should have did when Miami took on Philadelphia, and he didn't do and didn't capitalize on. And now I think with this game, other teams will look at it and say, this might be a formula that even though we don't play like this, we've got to figure it out, because there's really no other way. You're not stopping Messi, because a defender can put an entire foot on the ball and he can swirl in a shot from 20 yards in between 3 defenders to the top corner. But fine, go into a game understanding you're going to be down 1 goal because of Messi. It's what you do before and after that point that sets up your success in the match. What Nashville did, give up possession, defend with 10 men, win a scrappy goal off of a corner, take 5 or 6 shots on target, make Drake Callender work at times, try and make the game open by the 80th to 85th minute. And at that point, Miami looked like they were on the ropes. I mean, there were multiple times where Mukhtar and Surge were in, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. The Miami are going to lose. It was not the best thing that I've ever seen. It was probably the least convincing game, even including the Dallas game. This was the least convincing game from Miami all around, in my opinion. And granted, it was a final, it was away from home, and it was a not fully hostile crowd in Nashville, but it's still a tough place to play. And it's only been, built for a couple of years, just like Miami has. Nashville just got into the league. I think that they left a lot to be desired, and I'm worried about going to Cincinnati, even given their performance against Columbus. That's just the honest truth.
Yeah, Alejandro, you want to go first?
Hey, what's up, guys? So what I have to say is, you know what? Finals are just different. You have to win them. You don't have to really play a beautiful game. And Inter Miami was winning this game, and Nashville was playing at home and was losing that game. So they had to come with everything they had to try to tie the game, and then after that they should have won this game. I was talking to Ashley and to Gian after the game, and of course we were all happy, we were all excited and everything, but I said I feel like Nashville could have won it, and it would have been fair. So
yeah,
to your point, I think they played the game as well as they could have done it. I mean, I don't know,
Nashville or Miami?
Both teams.
Yes.
I feel like they did what they could with what they have right now. And for Inter Miami, it's very hard. And like Ashley was saying, it's been only a month, and we have been adding new players almost every week to this lineup, and they still figure out, if you compare the way how they play with or against Philadelphia and Nashville to the way they played that first half against Cruz Azul, that game was horrible. They should have lost 3-0 in the first half for sure. Calendar was the hero, and he ended up being the hero again. But when you compare, you can see new things. Of course, it's hard. You're playing away. Nashville did a lot to try to avoid Messi doing what he did anyway. But I think it was a great final to watch, to be honest.
I I think it was a good final to watch. I
Yeah.
enjoyed watching the match, and
You
like you
wanted
could.
you wanted Inter Miami to dominate Nashville, right?
Of course, that's what we all wanted to see, and I think that that's the narrative that's being built around Inter Miami, and that
Yeah.
narrative is wrong. They did not dominate. Granted, maybe they dominated this competition,
No,
but they
they
didn't dominate
dominated
the first game.
against Atlanta United and Charlotte. That was about
Right.
it.
That's it. Philadelphia, I guess you
And
could say too.
Philadelphia, I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
but
it was a
even
dominant performance.
I don't know. The Philadelphia game is one of those games when one team had 3 chances, they scored 3 times. The
Yeah.
other team had 10 chances, they scored 1.
Right.
And I mean, it's
And that's
sometimes in soccer the result can, you know, tell you a different story of what
course.
actually happened. And I'm with you here. And I was talking to Ashley and to John after the game about the Leagues Cup and everything. And I'm with you. I don't think Messi and Inter Miami were too dominant over the other teams or the teams that they faced. They just,
not
I
at
mean,
all.
they found a way to win multiple games. And they, of course, they had Messi, they had Alba, they had Busquets, and they had a new team with a revamped energy and everything. But I mean, they just found a way to win it.
But they've
And
shown
it's that Messi magic too, because
Right.
it happened with Argentina in the World Cup. You were like, I mean, they're gonna lose against the Netherlands.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose against France. There's no way they're recovering from this. Mbappe tied the game in the 80th minute. Mbappe tied it again in a stoppage time. They had the chance
Yeah.
to win it, and it didn't. It just didn't happen for some reason. It feels like it's magic, it's destiny, however you want to call it. But that's what happened with Inter Miami. I feel like, yeah, they could have played better, and I understand what your point is. But to be honest, they just found a way to win a game, and they could have won it with a Campana goal at the end of the game too.
Right.
They
Right.
had that chance too, and
Poor
Finding-
Campana.
we couldn't
His-
believe how that ball didn't just go in. It just
Yeah.
happened.
And I mean,
Campana.
this is what I would say is that I don't disagree with any of your analysis, Austin. But what I would say is, some things we have to keep in mind. We have such recency bias right now, but we
Yeah.
were all there the last 4 years, and this season in particular, it's been a lot of struggling. These players are tired. Everyone on that pitch was tired. They had, it's even though half of them they're new and they're fresh and they're champions. The team was tired. It had to go through a lot mentally and physically. And for, Nashville, they've been in fairly good form all season. I know Ben Wright obviously said that they were struggling a bit the last few weeks before the tournament started, but like the team's foundation and, their players and everything playing at home, they had a dominant last game as well. The cards were all going for them. And for Inter Miami, having to be at your best for 90 minutes plus for the last 6 months not being, it does take a toll. And I think that's what you were seeing. You were seeing it, the toll on the team. But in the end, if you find a way, you do it. That's how sports are. And I think, back to what we said about a rising tide raises all ships. Nashville and Cincinnati are being two fantastic examples, and we'll see it with the crowd, I'm sure, on Wednesday, that it is not just, like the environment that you produce, even in these small markets. You have a strong team, a strong farming system, a strong fan base who maybe don't have as many other big sports or, are maybe stronger Latin communities, let's say. You see it. And so you're going to see Inter Miami have to play against top opponents in hostile environments. And if they can continue to make it out on top, then that's a sign of a good team. I mean, look, Emilio Martinez, back to the World Cup, he got that save off of his leg that you would expect Dembele to make that shot, 9 times out of 10. And it's just that one time, sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's what you got. You got a final where they had to find a different way to win. And if anything, it makes me happy that they're finding new ways to win, when any day before that, for the last 4 years, you would have asked me, I would have bet thousands of dollars that they wouldn't have found that way, because they just hadn't, right? That wasn't our team. Our team wasn't finding the ways to win. They were getting those things tossing in the other direction. So, I think it's how the sport works.
Austin, I have a stat for you. The amount of shots that teams against Miami in the last 5 games in this tournament. Nashville, 11 shots. Philadelphia, 16. They just scored once because somehow the ball didn't go in. Charlotte, who we thought didn't play a good game, 9 shots. Orlando City, 11 shots as well. Dallas, 12 shots. I mean, we got a lot of shots against. It's just other teams couldn't find a way to beat us. That's the reality of it. Once you look at it a little bit more and cooling down and everything, of course, you have the Messi effect and all of that. But I mean, the other teams had their chances. They just couldn't perform and they couldn't score. And that's about it.
And Drake Callender is cementing
And Drake
himself
Callender
as
too,
a member of
yeah,
the
yeah.
U.S. men's national team. You know, obviously, I think it's still Turner's job to lose. But I think he's cementing himself as the third goalkeeper right now, and hopefully he continues to, you know, go up from there.
All right, a couple things.
God, Austin, smile. We won a final.
No, I listen. The thing is, you should have seen my reaction, and I think
you should have recorded yourself.
I should have. Well, no, because you might have seen a tear or two. But listen, I was so elated.
Did you see videos of me?
I was elated. I was happy. But then I sat down when I got off the plane yesterday, and I was just like, there was no way for Nashville. It doesn't make sense that Nashville lost. Like, it really, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense. And there was a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. One was we're headed to Cincinnati for a semifinal. And Ashley, you brought up this perfect point about these small market teams who have built a foundation over the course of the years and becoming a tough place to play because the fans have gotten behind this sport because there aren't a lot of, you know, major sports teams in that city. I think that Cincinnati is, next to Nashville, almost the prime example of everything that you had mentioned. And I think that that's what scares me about this semifinal, is that because Nashville were so close, and now Cincinnati has had time to digest everything that's gone on, just like we have, it makes it even tougher for Miami than what it would have been prior to the final. And so looking at this, I'm now not only worried about Wednesday and what Miami are going to be able to do against Cincinnati, but I'm also worried about the MLS playoffs because they have to play, 6 more games at home, 6 more games on the road in a very small stretch of time, adding on the semifinal and possibly the final of US Open Cup, everything that they've already gone through, playing 4 times or 2 times a week, every 4 days in a competition, going straight into these other competitions where you don't have the luxury of tying 4 times. If they tie 4 times, in reality, Miami might be done because other teams are gaining points ahead of them. There's almost no room for error at this point going forward for Miami. And that's why the Nashville game scares me, because it's not like necessarily they made any errors to lose the game, but getting it to that point in penalties, and granted, there was no extra time because Leagues Cup didn't do that, but letting it get to that point, playing into Nashville's hands, everybody knew exactly what Nashville was going to do. We talked with Ben Wright earlier before the game, and he talked about the block of 8, if they're going to play a 4-4-2 with possibly Surridge and Mukhtar up front, and the block of 8 in front of goal, limiting shots and chances inside the box. How many times did Jordi Alba connect on a cross to get inside the box? Almost none. Sergio Busquets was losing the ball in the midfield and dropping in between the center backs. Benjamin Kremeshki, I thought, was all over the place. Joseph Martinez probably had the least touches of any player on the field for the entire match. I mean, there are warning signs, in my opinion, and if it weren't for Lionel Messi, this team would not have won this game at all. Like, it wouldn't
but
even.
That's the point. That's why they got
right.
Messi.
And granted, that's the point. But how many times are we going to let the Messi magic? Right. But Austin, it's been 7 matches.
Austin, you're leaving what Barca fans, PSG fans, and Argentina fans lived his entire career. I mean,
which is it's insane. And maybe I'm just like so at this point, like I'm just so detached from reality that like Messi's here and he's just doing all this, and I like
and
everyone
you've been burned a lot over the last few years with these kind of results.
True, and that's very true. And we really haven't had anybody to go ahead and like make me feel any sort of confidence other than when Pozuelo and Higuain were connecting at the end of last season, and then they go to New York City and just get throttled. So that's where my level of concern of, granted, this is a new coach, a new coaching staff, new ideas and players, and everything has changed. But I do think that this wasn't as dominant as everybody is saying. I guess that's my point, is that, yes, Messi scored 10 times in 7 games. Yes, Messi's been here a month and has already won a trophy. That is all good and well. However, there are still other accomplishments that this team needs to achieve by the end of the year for it to be deemed a success on the field. Everything off the field, is a given. We know exactly what's happened, and going into 2024, this is going to be the headline of all of MLS and maybe even North American sports. Like that's bar none, nothing else compares. But on the field, this team has a chance for trophies. They have never done it before, but the expectation has been raised to a level that it's never been at before. Even when Jorge Mas was saying that with just Gonzalo Higuain on the team, pretty much that this would be a third place team in the East a couple of years ago. Even when they came in and said, Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar in 2019 and blah, blah, all of that. The expectations now, because of what we've seen in the last 7 games, are at an all-time high. Anything short of 2 trophies, and I'm even probably going to say 3 if they can make playoffs realistically, is not a failure, but it's short of an expectation that Messi has now set the precedent for. And that's kind of the pressure that he brings. And I'm going to be super highly critical of Inter Miami from this point on, because without Lionel Messi, this team is not as good as a team like Nashville. With
Why
Busquets
don't
and
you
Alba,
save that for next season? He like came in.
No,
with
I feel like Austin, you're trying to be realistic right now, right?
I am trying to be realistic.
So when you
Which I
look at
get.
it, when you look at it, the Leagues Cup and the U.S. Open Cup, those are the 2 trophies that he can win, being realistic. Because the Leagues Cup, you saw it was what, 7 games,
7
and
games,
he's already a
done.
champion.
Right.
The U.S. Open Cup, it's 2 games that
2
you have to
games.
win,
Yes.
and not
And
even
what
that,
hopefully
because
will give
you
us
can
the
tie both
confidence.
games and still win it in PKs.
And we right.
So
Yeah,
you
and
don't
I mean,
you don't
look,
really have
they-
to win all the games. But when you look at the MLS, when you have to
Right.
recover so many points, and then after you recover so many points, then you have to actually go in the playoffs and win almost all the games away to try to be the champion
It's going
of
to be
that tournament.
harder than we thought.
That
a lot
one-
harder than we thought.
That one, I wouldn't put so much pressure on the team to do that. And even Tata Martino was asked about it, like,
He was.
when is Messi gonna rest? Well, that's gonna be the time to rest him. Not now. I mean, that this championship on Wednesday, that semifinal, they can win this tournament. The MLS Cup, the MLS tournament, getting into the playoffs and then trying to get to the MLS Cup final and all that. That road's a little bit harder to actually get to that point. So
and he's
I
also going to have
understand.
October to March off. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
and you see. But look, I'll say this: I totally understand, and you're very valid. But I would say is enjoy. You got to enjoy it.
I
Enjoy
that's
it,
the thing.
Austin.
I enjoyed
Enjoy
it. I enjoyed it. Listen, I
Messi
enjoyed it for
experience.
48 hours, but now it's Monday. It's 48 hours before the semifinal. That's
Yeah.
where I'm.
This team has been asked a lot. Like the fact that people, yes, this precedent we're setting is fantastic, but the fact that they unthinkable that they just won on Saturday. It's unthinkable with what the team was and what it's become. And so we got to enjoy that. And then also, hopefully, the confidence of this Inter Miami squad is that they made it to the semifinals without Messi. This is a tournament they've been playing all season long, and they made it to this point without him. I think you're going to see some rotations. Obviously not of the big 3, but you're going to see other rotations. I think, we have a couple young players who I think are going to start to get their chances. And I think that while the criticism in terms of what you saw on the field, it's valid. I think when it's the overall team and everything, I think next year is going to probably be a little bit more of the time to see how the construction and the tactics and everything, that's when every game people are going to be a lot more highly critical. I think from this point on, I'd even say from Saturday on, getting to the final, everything is really a cherry on top. And as someone who wants to win, I want us to continue to win, but we have him for at least 2 more years. There's a lot of great things that are going to continue to happen, and building this foundation and building winning soccer, it starts from the ground up, and that's what we're going to see. So, it's important to be critical, and it's important to respect all the moments and our opponents. But I also think it's a good thing that there's parity. And I think it's a good thing that we have our ups and downs. I don't think it's fun if you win, 10-0 every game. It's just not. That's not what sports are fun, And so having the competition, the difficulties, the playing, in hostile environments, the having to be mentally tougher than the other team, that's part of greatness, and that's part of great sports, and that's part of what you want to watch. And so we haven't had a shortage of that yet, even in the finals. So as long as those things continue, I think we're on the right track.
And even with going completely, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the goal that they had when they brought Messi, which was to qualify to the Conca Champions, they already accomplished that. So they don't have that extra pressure. If they would have lost to Dallas, which could have happened, they would have had the extra pressure to either win this U.S. Open Cup, or go and try to win the MLS Cup, which was really harder. So you know what? They already accomplished the first goal, and they can. I mean, if they win it, great. But if they don't, it's not like they failed their first goal anyway. So
right, yeah. They're on the road to the Club World Cup of 2025, which really should be the ultimate goal. I mean, that is the goal of club football, especially here in North America when you don't have like the Champions League and those prestigious competitions, or UEFA Champions League, sorry, and those prestigious competitions in Europe that the bigger clubs are exposed to. And I also should say this, while I critique this team from top to bottom on the field, it goes unsaid.
No,
Messi is so beyond great that what he's done for everything we talked about off the field, but what he's done for this franchise on the field as well, it has been the biggest rotation in all of sports. And the fact that I'm critiquing a championship winning side that with the name Inter Miami engraved on the trophy is so insane to think about. And it just,
you're ready to join Sky Sports with that kind of
it's just speaks to his greatness. So I did want to just leave it there.
And also Sergio, I mean, I agree, he was a step behind for sure on Saturday.
It was rough.
The amount he's had to play, I mean, he's played 90 minutes of every single game he's been in, where he's had to do a ton of running and a ton of making up and a ton of creating. He's up there in age, I mean, I think well, I don't say he deserved to have a bad game. I think it's, it's understandable. Poor guy was probably exhausted.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens Wednesday, right? I mean, it's been the first championship in the books, hopefully many more. The experiment is working thus far, and I hope we keep building on it.
And I think they will. I think they will. I think like you said, there are still other toys at Tata Martino's disposal that he has not played with yet. He still has a lot of U22 guys to come on. He can still use the academy guys who were kind of steadying the ship a little bit and actually got them to the point where they are in a US Open Cup semifinal, as you said. So there are still some, personnel changes at his disposal that can go on and happen and maybe bring some rotation to the squad. It was probably smart not to do it during Leagues Cup when it was a continuous competition. Maybe going into Wednesday, it's not the smartest thing either, because it is a one and done kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they've got 12 more games in MLS going on after this. So maybe that's the time to make your adjustments and go ahead and figure out what you need for 2024, because as Alejandro mentioned, they are in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They have qualified, and actually because they won the final, Inter Miami actually in the round of 16 of that competition. So they don't have to deal with anything beforehand. They go straight into the knockouts. And will play in the round of 16 of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So what is that? 4 games and possibly, or 4 rounds of games, I should say. And you're into the Club World Cup of 2025 that's held in North America. That is the goal of all goals, is to make it to that competition. It's what the club has wanted from day one. At first, it just started off CONCACAF Champions Cup. That was really what the goal was. And now you can talk about a Club World Cup because of Lionel Messi on this roster, and going against that kind of competition is, if you would have brought that up to me by 2025, I would have said you're absolutely crazy. That team would never be able to make it there. If you would ask me that in the last 4 years, I'm saying no way. But lo and behold, Lionel Messi has just changed the entire conversation surrounding Inter Miami, MLS, and maybe even sports in North America. I'll leave you guys with that. I'll take a breath and try and relax a little bit. Thanks for putting through all of my critiques and criticisms. But before we head out here, we have one more quick word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll send you on your way.
Are you ready to transform your space into a masterpiece? Introducing Mosaics, your destination for stones and more. Mosaics is a family-owned business serving the community for over 20 years. With the best quality porcelain, ceramic tiles, and high-end mosaics featuring unique modern designs, Mosaics has everything you need. Dedicated customer service, wholesale distributors, and a passion for excellence. Make sure you visit mosaics.com today to turn your vision into a reality.
Thank you, Mosaics. They're from day one of this podcast, right in the beginning. So make sure you go check them out for all of your tile and porcelain needs. You can visit them at mosaics.com, as you saw and heard. Guys, any final words, any final thoughts going into the semifinal on Wednesday?
Yeah. Do you have any critiques of the mosaic and tile before we go?
I would say, Austin, enjoy titles. You never know when's the next one. So
that's true.
I'll say that. What I'll say is that so far, I've loved it, and I hope that this is just beginning number, not just on the field, but the community that continues to build off the field, the overall MLS community, the Messi and Co community. Again, thank you so much to all the awesome people at Tank Brewing Company, not only for having us, a bunch of fans that came, whether to be interviewed or just to say hi to the camera, to share in the joy and the passion. It's been awesome. We've seen everyone, we've seen the comments, we've seen, the questions, the excitement, and we're just excited to keep it up.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, everybody. The celebrations were really fun to watch on the live streams. I saw everybody come over to the camera.
My panic. Alejandro kept putting it on me, and I'm like, stop, I'm too nervous.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So again, go check all of that out. You can watch our post-game reactions, the penalty reactions over on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, turn the notifications on. And if you're listening on our podcast platforms, make sure you rate the show, download the episodes, and comment any of your thoughts. You can follow us on Twitter and get right at us, tweet right at us, or X right at us, whatever you want to call it, at Messi and Co. And we will be happy to hear absolutely everything, all of your guys' thoughts. And with that said, we will leave you guys to the Spanish episode releasing soon and the U.S. Open Cup semifinal here on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.